Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. This is a show where I talk about a lot of VHS tapes, a lot of retro movies, comics, games, cartoons, the writing life, and a bunch of other stuff. I'm the author of a book called VHS-ate-my-brain. The revised edition's out now. The sequel, VHS-ate-my-brain 2, The Revenge, is out very soon. I have written other books, things like Bagged and Boarded, A Stolen Fate, Dead Thing, a bunch of other things that are out there. Do check those out, but the one I'm most known for is VHS-ate-my-brain. It became a podcast, it became a magazine column. It's done all sorts for me, so I'm very, very grateful. And I'm very, very grateful to everyone here that's joining me for this video as well. On this episode of Planet Hex, I'm going to talk about some more news stories that I've found from recent months from across the internet. I've been scouring the internet for a while trying to find some other interesting stories to share with you about my favourite dead format, and I found some more tonight. Without further ado, I'm going to go through these. Well, with a bit more further ado, I went in the comments on Video Tasty's live stream, and was commanded to go away and finish the book. It's done. It's done. The book is done. It's coming soon. I just need to check out the hard copies before I can release it, but it's nearly there. So anyway, on this episode I'm going to go through some news stories that I've found to share with you that you may have missed over the last couple of months. So this first one that's come up, this is from May, and it's from the New York Post. Basement tapes, VHS making return as Gen Xers turn sellers into mom and pop video stores. What else would we be doing? What else would Gen X be doing? Proud Gen X member myself, but this made me happy. So yeah, old nerds like myself, we are well, in America where basements are a thing, they're not really a thing over here. They are creating video stores in their basement. I would love to have the space to do that one day. Plans are afoot. I would love to have the space to do that sort of thing. Check this out. This guy's store has a restricted adults only section. So Atlanta man Anthony Santelsalmo transformed his basement into Mondo Video. Yeah, I know about Mondo Video. This is so cool that this is getting more and more attention. So if you check out Mondo Video on YouTube, there's a video from a couple of years ago. That is a really nice tour around the basement store he's got there. Mondo Video is one of the more visible like home video store setups. There's a bunch of others, but Mondo is one of the most obvious ones because of this particular YouTube video from a couple of years ago, which was really, really cool, and I'm so jealous. But I love this. I love this that people are finding an interest in this, and interest does seem to be growing in VHS and in retro media in general. So I've picked up some tapes lately. I've had 2 boxes of them brought to me. I've also picked up a bundle of DVDs. I'm not really a huge fan of DVD, but I'm a fan of the contents of it, and being able to get them for pennies at the moment means that I can have a physical copy of films that would otherwise be prohibitively expensive, or ones that I don't really want to put a lot of cash down for on eBay. But this is cool. There's a lot of stuff going on with VHS at the moment, and this whole scene is burgeoning. It does seem to have come around again. There was a burst of it in the early 2010s, thanks to things like Adjust Your Tracking and VHS Lives and Psychotronic People, and the big rise of lunch meat. Hey, Josh, man. But it's really cool to see that this is coming round again, a cycle. It's coming around again. Of course, there's all the posts going around still. These tapes will make a fortune. These Disney tapes are worth thousands. These aren't. This Back to the Future, you'll pay off your mortgage with it. No, you won't. In most cases, you won't. Trust me. But it's nice to see that these things are coming around again. But it is forming a pattern. It is definitely forming a pattern. Anyway, the next story we've got here. VHS tapes from the 1990s opened the door to another world. This is about a documentary by Tiberius, a cinematic memoir delving into home movie footage tracing lives of displacement and exile for 4 generations of women in a Palestinian family. I have covered this before in a previous video where this was put together from a bunch of old tapes, and I think this is incredible. I think it's an amazing thing that tapes are being put to this use. They're not just being turned to landfill or thrown away or kept in a cupboard somewhere. The contents of these tapes are historical artifacts, and they are an important factor in that. So, pro wrestling news. So PW Torch, I do like a bit of the old wrestling myself. In fact, this coming Sunday, I'm going to go to some wrestling at House of Pain here in Nottingham, which is a great wrestling promotion. They're so fun. I'll try and get some video there. Before that, on Saturday, I'm going to, well, the whole family's going to Japan Fest in Derby. So next couple of videos, they're going to be a little different to the VHS stuff. So there's going to be some different stuff coming. I know like the last half dozen have all been about VHS culture, and that's what I love to talk about. But the next couple of videos may well have some different content in it, so look out for those soon. So this one, the reason I have this wrestling link open is that there has been use of VHS elements in promos for the new Wyatt family Captain Howdy promotion, and I thought this was really, really cool. Where's the piece about it? Then here somewhere. Well, it's not there, evidently, but there's been a bunch of talk about the Wyatt family's new new team, the Six, and they've been using VHS elements in the promos, and I thought that was a really nice touch. It's nice to see that being used for a new creative endeavor there, so that's always fun. So we've got one here. Which is more collectible, Laserdisc or VHS? This is on howtogeek.com. It's a good site. There's some interesting stuff on there. So the conversation here, the differences in the format, longevity and durability, the rarity and availability, packaging and artwork, cost, that sort of thing, cultural and historical significance, and the community and fandom. So it's a good piece. It's a long piece, but it's well worth going through. Straight away there, VHS tapes are not great from a longevity and durability perspective. I disagree with that. Every time you play back a VHS tape, it gets a little more worn out. Yeah, it does get more worn, but I do have tapes that are 40 plus years old, and they play perfectly with very little loss of picture quality or sound quality. Yet this depends on some of the lower quality tapes. They do degrade a bit more, but a lot of the tapes that I've got, they're in great condition considering their age. Laserdisc, on the other hand, I would imagine would be very susceptible to scratches and just being snapped because it's a big record-sized DVD, basically. So it's an interesting one because I think that in the US there was a lot more awareness and use of Laserdiscs. They existed over here. Yeah, they were available over here, but they never became such a phenomenon as they were in the US. And so as such, they are really, really scarce over here. It's not something you see around a lot. So I would imagine, in a way, Laserdisc is more collectible. It's because of the rarity, the scarcity of it over here. And VHS would be a little bit less so, a little bit more, well, a little bit more widespread. So there may be more of an audience for VHS, but I would say that the Laserdisc itself as an item is a more collectible item just because there aren't many of them around. But do check this out on howtogeek.com, Laserdisc or VHS, which is more collectible. There's some nice arguments either way, but it does mention that VHS eventually comes out on top because it has more of a nostalgia factor, and because just more people are familiar with it. But it's a really good one to check out. So the next story I've got here, this is on 80LV. I've not been to this site before. However, this headline caught my eye. Atmospheric VHS themed sandbox game now features jiggle physics. Now I'm hoping the jiggle physics don't just refer to ladies, as they have in the past with things like Dead or Alive. But there you go. Oh yeah, it seems to be just a way of animating things a bit better. please do excuse my my ignorance, but that is cool. I like the idea of look, there's a top loader. There's a top loader in this game. There are rules. No idea what the game is about. Not entirely bothered either, but that. So, over on fastcompany.com, who have this lovely picture, which is a stock photo from Pixabay. Yep, we all go there. This has a story from last month on a Netflix series creator who wants to own every movie on VHS. So I'm interested by this. So Chia Serrano owns 861 VHS tapes. Okay, cool. He's the co-creator of the reggaeton-flavored streaming series Neon and the family sitcom Primo. So that's nice. But it's interesting to hear these creators who are now making content for the streaming services have this reverence for physical media and things from other eras. It does really feel like the people that grew up with these things are now at a stage where we are creating the content so we can show a love for this stuff. So I think over the next couple of years we're going to see a lot more of it trickle through the things that we view on our streaming platforms that many of us spend a lot of time in front of. I spend a lot less time in front of them lately, but I'm definitely in another physical media period. Been rewatching lots of 90s stuff lately and lots of sitcoms just to get a bit more of a nostalgia fix from the settings and the trappings of the eras. So that's been fun. But it's nice to see about. It's nice to see these creators from shows that are big at the moment have that love for these things. Oh, wow, that's so cool. Picture on the left is February 2017 when I grabbed a few VHS tapes from the thrift store by my house because I thought they'd look cool on a bookshelf in my office. And the picture on the right is February 2024, a whole wall in my office. Real weirdo behavior. Man, we are all gloriously weird and reveling in it. I'm all for people being weird. I'd have to be really. I don't really have a choice on that score. So what else have we got here? So we've got one of these stories here. The next one is CBC, so the news channel. And the story here: don't toss those old VHS tapes. This man wants to save TV history. So it's Colin Sterling. This is from a month ago. This story. It's Colin Sterling, aka the Betamax King. Betamax. Why iota? Is diligently digitizing home recordings of broadcast TV recorded on Betamax and VHS. He's trying to preserve what he calls the golden age of television before it's too late. This is really, really cool. This is a good video. I would urge you to go to the CBC site, search this one out. There's the title, and give it a look. It's interesting to see someone not just collecting tapes or collecting retro gear or wearing the shirts. He's walking the walk as well, and he's saving these broadcast recordings for future generations. And things like, you can find a lot of these sort of things on the Internet Archive where they've been digitized already, warts and all, including all the fluctuations in tape quality and broadcast quality, but they have all this content that was it's the original broadcast of so much content, and that is a really cool thing to take a look at. It's nice to know that these things were captured. It was really like the first era where these things could be captured in this manner. So being able to go and watch what people saw the first time round is a really exciting thought. I really, really like that. So the next story, we've got one on Neon Genesis Evangelion. I just thought this was cool. Evangelion rewinds to its old school 90s anime with 15 VHS toy collectibles. So I just thought this was pretty cool. So there you go. They're in VHS covers. They're like keychains. It's like little collectible keychains in VHS boxes with tapes inside. Not a big story, not a huge cultural development. That's over on cbr.com, comicbookresources.com. I just thought that was a nice thing to include because so many of us had those Neon Genesis VHS tapes back in the day. Over on Twisted Sifter, which is a great name for a site. I've never been here before either. We've got one of those stories that keeps popping up all the time. This is from May. If you've got old VHS tapes lying around, this woman says certain ones could be worth up to $5,000. So just looking at that pile there, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Scream 2, Bride of Chucky, Silence of the Lambs, Urban Legend, Relic, Cujo and Misery. None of those are valuable. None of those are valuable. And what the lady is showing there is buy it now videos that haven't sold. There's a slabbed Halloween, the first print of Halloween. Yep, those are desirable tapes, but come on, they're buy it now tapes that haven't sold. They're still available there because they are buy it now tapes. VHS tapes that are worth thousands of dollars. Nothing there is worth thousands of dollars. Nothing. No. It damages the scene because it drives prices up, it inflates things, and it also skews the perception of this hobby that, you know, every time a VHS collector finds something, it's like, oh my god, this is going to be worth thousands. It doesn't happen like that. So we've got a review here on bloodydisgusting.com, great website for Porch Pirate. The VHS era throwback delivers a fun indie horror package. And I'm enjoying these throwback movies at the moment because with something that evokes an earlier era, be it the 80s, the 90s or whatever, you are avoiding the modern trappings of having like a smartphone. Smartphones would have ended so many horror movies throughout the ages, so many exciting movies. They would be they just wouldn't work. They wouldn't work at all because of you'd be able to find things, you'd be able to find your way out, you'd be able to contact people, you'd be able to put out a distress call. Stuff like that just doesn't work in a modern setting, so you always got to find a way around it. And a lot of modern movies, there would be some way of damaging the phone, or the battery runs out, or it gets taken away, that sort of thing, to get around it. But with something like this, you don't have to. And anything that evokes that sort of post-exploitation era of like slashers and good old-fashioned horror movies, I'm all for that. So the next one I found here, I've got last two here. I found this one that I thought was really wholesome. A Blockbuster kiosk box thing has shown up. Two collectors are loaning out VHS tapes for free using the template of the little free library, but for videos instead of books. More than 200 of the so-called free Blockbusters popped up across the country, but the owner of the actual Blockbuster brand isn't pleased with the name. So it's a news story over on CBS News about these boxes that have been showing up around the States, and I find that really interesting that someone would do this. We do have some of the converted old red phone boxes nearby where I live here in Nottingham that have been converted into those little libraries where you can go in and take a book and leave a book and so on. But the idea that someone would do this, I think, is absolutely golden. I would love to see something like that, but what would you put in there? Knowing England, if this popped up in England, all that would be in there would be like Friends tapes, trains, something about gardening, and a bunch of Rosemary Conley workout videos. So nothing I would dive into per se. And the last story for tonight, comedy series based on an iconic Turlock VHS store coming soon. Now I have no idea the context of this. It's on the turlockjournal.com, but a comedy series based on a video store, I'm all for that. That sounds amazing. So this is what I'm going to this is from June, and I'm going to keep an eye on how this develops. So a comedy mini-series is going to be filmed this summer called VHS Forever Hollywood. And many of the scenes will be based on true stories from the career of producer Richard Sargis, a native of Sarah's, a graduate of Turlock High School, and be filmed in Hillmar and Turlock. But this is a series based on the goings-on in a video store. So whatever happens with this, whatever standard it is, however successful or quietly it lands, I'm going to be there to check this out, because why not? That sounds like a great idea to me. Anything that keeps this scene alive, anything that keeps an interest in this media alive, I'm absolutely all for, and long may it continue. Speaking of which, yeah, VHS Ain't My Brain 2, The Revenge is done, and it will be out very soon, so keep an eye out for updates regarding that. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night, etc. Whenever you're watching this. Hello, if you're watching this from the distant future, it's great to know you. I'm a middle-aged man in England talking about old VHS tapes. I don't know what you're going to get out of this historically, but I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm Andrew Horn, thank you for watching this episode of Planet Hex. Please do like and subscribe if you like this sort of thing. If you're watching from the distant future, you might not be able to subscribe if YouTube's still not a thing, but I don't know. Just cheers, thanks for watching, catch you on the next one.